So hello everyone. So this is actually the final video in our sort of portfolio how-to guide, so video number 5. Today we're going to be focusing all about building your e-portfolio, so actually using the Blackboard tool itself to actually put together your portfolio. I know at the moment hopefully a lot of you have been gathering your documents, saving them as Word documents, so they'll just be on your desktop, but we're actually going to have a look at how you transform your Word documents and your files into the actual final product. Now there's going to be lots of support along the way, so this is very much a how-to guide. So I'm actually going to build a portfolio from scratch and show you how it looks, how you manipulate it, how you insert documents. But remember, you don't actually have to finish or sort of build this final product until sort of midway through part 3. So you have time to play around with it, get used to it. Again, it's a good area to have everything saved anyway, because it's through Blackboard. So again, if you're ever worried about losing your documents, it's always worthwhile having them saved there. They're on Blackboard, but it's probably a good point even from now to start to play around with it, insert the documents you have a look at how it looks and see the sort of product you're going to produce at the end. So key 3 things we're going to go through today. Firstly, we're going to look at where to start. So if you're not sure where on earth to start with building this e-portfolio, basically I'm going to take you through that to start with. So hopefully by the end you'll at least be comfortable about how to at least generate and start the portfolio. And then even if there are other points that you're not so confident about, then we can have a look at those at a later date. Remember, this is kind of an area of expertise where I'm very comfortable in terms of dealing with data, electronics and all that kind of thing. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea. So again, if it's something that you don't have a lot of experience in and you're not so confident in building something like I'm going to show you, please come and talk to me about it. We'll probably be able to do some sort of small group sort of building later on for those who are struggling or even would like to go over some points, because actually there's some quite useful programming computer skills that you'll learn here. So actually for a lot of you building those sorts of skills, you may have them already and may be really comfortable, but that won't be the case for everyone. So please do come and talk to me about it if it's something that you're struggling with, because I know it's not something that everyone has expertise in or is so happy in doing. So point 2, we'll have a look at actually how you navigate through the portfolio. So once you've set it up, how do you actually upload your documents? How do you go through the different sections? And what does it basically look like? There are a certain amount of customization that you can do, so you can make it quite personal to you. And we'll have a look at how you do all those sort of things as well. The final one is actually how you view your final product. So when you're building the portfolio, you kind of have a builder screen where you upload all your documents and you build your portfolio. And then you have your sort of view where you sort of see your final product. And I'll show you what that final product will look like. I think it looks really nice, the final products that come out. So I'll show you an example one that I've sort of half built at least, just so you can see what the final elements might look like. Importantly, you get to keep these forever. So once you've completed your portfolio, you can download it as a PDF. You can print it if you really wanted to, but you'll have that electronic version forever. So that is yours. So don't worry that once things are uploaded to Blackboard, that's it. You'll never have access to them again. They are yours at the end of the day. So again, these will be your personal portfolios to use. All right. So I'm going to jump across to my screen viewer, and I'm going to take you through me, hopefully not messing it up, building a portfolio from scratch, showing you all the different options, and then hopefully everything will be a little bit clearer if you're not quite sure how to use it. Obviously, if you've already built it, you may still want to have a look just to see if there are any extra bits that you weren't quite sure of, but really this is mainly for those who aren't quite sure where to start and need that little bit of support in terms of building those first few steps. Once you've used it a bit and you've been able to play around with it, it does become much easier. So even if you find it a little bit tricky at the start, don't worry too much. You will develop those skills very quickly, and the more you get used to using it, the easier it will become for you. Okay, so we'll just switch across to screen view, and then you can follow my path of building a portfolio. Okay, so as per normal, we're starting in Blackboard as we have with everyone, but this time we're not going to be clicking on the student development portfolio. Okay, so we're getting away from that folder at the moment. So the actual place where you need to build your portfolio is kept somewhere slightly hidden, which you may not access very often. Now, if you go back to the intro lecture that I gave you, well, not quite a year ago, but back in, it would have been in October, I do take you through where to find this, but again, a lot of you may not have even thought about it at this point. So again, I can show you where you start to build this e-portfolio. So it's actually hidden in this little box at the top. So you'll have your name here. I've got a hell of a lot of notifications there, which I'll ignore for now. But you'll see that if you go to, mine's already gone straight to tools, but again, yours might be on courses, but you just need to go to tools. Now, when you're in tools, if you scan down here, you should see one that says portfolios, okay? And that's where you need to go to. So if you're on your start page, let me just go back out. From your start page, click the down arrow, go to tools, and then go to portfolios. And this will take you to your portfolio page. Now yours will hopefully be blank unless you've started to build one already, but this is where all your portfolios get placed. Now, in reality, you are just building one, so you should just have one at the end, but you can build multiple ones if you wanted to redo one or anything like that, or if you wanted to practice or, you know, whatever you want. So you can build as many as you want. As you can see, I've been playing around with them for a while, so I've got lots of different versions in terms of what I've built. But this will only show you the ones that you've sort of compiled. So when you click on yours, you'll probably see not very much at all unless you've started to build them. So we'll ignore these for now. So pretend that they weren't here. And actually, you don't need to worry about these at the moment either. This big button here is really where you want to go. So click on Create Portfolio. So this takes you to this screen. So this is where you actually set up your title. So I suggest that you just call it your name. Okay, so I know I don't have one called that at the moment, so I've just put my name and then portfolio after it. So that's your title of portfolio. You can change this at any point, so don't worry. I'd probably suggest you don't call it something stupid at this stage, just in case you forget. But for now, you know, your name's absolutely fine, but you can change it if you need to. So if you spell something wrong, don't worry at this stage. So the important bit you need to click here is you need to select the portfolio template. So we've built one specifically for you. You can see these are all the different courses that have got a portfolio set up. So there aren't many at the moment, so not lots of courses use them. So we're fairly new in terms of using these. I set this up as one of the sort of first e-portfolios that we do at Reading. And you need to go to the Pad Portfolio Template version 2. So this is our most up-to-date one. Don't click on this one. Okay, so the pharmacy portfolio design was when we were actually playing around when we were building it. You can have a look at it if you want, but this is the one that you want to select. So you just click on the little dot next to it. Okay, so that will have selected that one. So it goes yellow, and then you just need to click submit at the bottom of that page. So you'll see that the version will come up here. So you'll see if you clicked on the wrong one, you can remove it and repick one. You don't need to write a description in here. This would just be basically what would show at the very top of your portfolio. So you could say Sam B portfolio if you really wanted to, but I would just leave that blank. Leave that ticked and leave your comments as being private for the moment as well. So don't worry about changing anything else. Just make sure you've put a title and you've selected the right template. Once you've done that, you just need to click submit. Now there is some online sort of tours already for you. Because we've built this one very specifically for you, I'm going to ignore that for now, but you can take a tour. I can't remember exactly what's in there, but it'll take you through all the key sort of settings, which I'm going to do for you now anyway. So I'm going to say no and I'll explore on my own. Again, if you need to, the launch guide is again up there if you ever need help to go back to. So this is what the portfolio looks like. And this is your building screen. Okay, so this isn't what the final product looks like, but this is how you actually insert all your documents and actually interact with your e-portfolio. So remember when I said you can change things, so you can rename things. Again, I wouldn't mess around too much with the template because we've set this up very specifically for you. So you don't need to rename things, you don't need to rubbish bin anything. So you can pretty much leave all the editing alone. If you did end up editing things incorrectly, don't worry at this stage, we can sort those things out at a later date, but in reality, leave everything as is in the portfolio at the moment. Now, if you scan down that left-hand side, these are all the documents by the end of part 3 that you'll have completed. It will seem like a lot, Again, you have to scroll quite a long way to get down to the bottom. But if you watched my monograph video, for instance, you'll see here are your part 1 monographs, and you'll see there's a space for aspirin, a space for cetirizine, fluconazole, hydrocortisone, and paracetamol. So you'll actually have completed a lot of these, or a fair section of these already. Again, this isn't just for part 1, so again, this has got part 2 and part 3 requirements in there as well. Again, if anything changes from year to year, again, I have the ability to modify the templates, and then I would advise you to delete anything that I sort of advise. So that's kind of it for there. Now, in terms of navigating your way through here, probably the key thing, or thing that you may want to think is, I'm adding a document, what should I click? Let me press this add button so I can add a section. That's the one thing we don't want you to do, is to add more sections. So basically that will start building blank sections rather than adding to the actual part of the portfolio itself. So the cover sheet's not the best one to start at in terms of showing you, because the cover sheet's probably the last thing that you do. So let's go to something where you will start having information. Now, just to say that if you click on the bolded titles, it takes you to each of those specific sections, and then the lighter or unbolded sections are the documents that go in there. So for instance, I just clicked on career management there, and it shows you that that's where your CV goes, and that's where your certificates go. You can move them up and down. Again, just leave them where they are for now. If you do, it doesn't matter, but again, you don't need to. So again, something that you might have completed is some part 1 CPDs. Click on your part 1 CPDs, and you'll see in here that I've written spaces for 5 CPDs to go. So the requirements are 5 for part 1. I think I've given you 6 there. So I have made the requirements are for part 1, I can't remember, but exactly have a look at your requirements for each year. I thought it was 5, possibly is 6. So however many requirements there are, that is what is meant for your year. Again, this gives a bit of flexibility if we add some extra sections, because you may have slightly above or beyond the documents that we've sort of set. Now again, remember when I said that lots of people click on the plus button? That's not the way that you add a document, or we want to add the documents. You'll see this edit artifact. You can ignore that as well, that's not important. You can edit it, so you could rename it. So probably the first thing you'll want to do is, rather than having it as unplanned 1, which you may want to keep, you may want to put unplanned 1 and then the title of your section or the CPD next to it if you want, or just leave it as unplanned 1. It may seem odd, but this is actually the point, the box where you add your documents. So let me just cancel back out so I can show you. So when you enter your CPD section, basically just click in this box to add contents. Okay. Now you can write directly into here. So you could write your CPD directly into that box. Again, that's not what I'm advising, but you can do. You can also attach files. So I could insert a file. So you can browse your computer. Again, that's not the ideal way to do it, just because it gives you the link rather than showing you the document. So the way that we want you to actually do it is in a slightly different way. And to show you, I'm just going to need to open up a template. So this is your CPD unplanned template. Now remember, in all of the templates, there is a link or an upload guide to help you. So please, you can view that as well to help you in terms of how to upload your documents. But basically what it says is complete the table. Now, obviously I've left the table the question, and then I've written a nonsense answer. So I actually just copy and pasted some of this text from up above there. So this will actually be your, in here you'll have your actual CPD, but just to show you it sort of suits. So if you're not clicked anywhere particularly in the document, you should see there's a little arrow box above the top left of your table. Just click on that and it will select that whole table. So once it's selected, we just don't actually want you to copy and paste it into the portfolio. So we just copy that. Now if we go back to where our unplanned point is, I think if we click the paste button, okay. Now one thing that you'll come across here is that it wants you to use the shortcut commands. Okay, so it doesn't like you pasting in from here for whatever reason. So just to say, on your keyboard, if you press the Control button and the V button, that is the shortcut for pasting, and that seems to work fine. So Control V and it will paste in your document. Again, if you have problems with that, just let me know. And that will actually have that table inserted into that space. So once you've inserted that, and again you can expand this box if you want to see it in a slightly bigger view or whatever, that's absolutely fine. You could add an attachment to the bottom, so if there was a workbook or something you wanted to add, you can add that. You can add images, you can add videos, you can add whatever you want in reality, so you can play around with that in terms of what you're doing. You can change all the text in here as well, highlight bits if you want, but as a kind of a minimum, just copy and paste that table across directly into here. Now once it's here, the important point here is that you click save. Okay, if you click cancel now, it will get rid of whatever was in there. So please click save. And it saves it, and it basically zooms out to show what your table looks like. So it should be whatever your table was copied and pasted. So that would be how you would insert your first CPD. Now if you want to add another CPD, go down to the space that we've put for unplanned number 2, click in the box, and you would put in your table for CPD 2. Now just to say, you can edit these at any point, so just because you put the table there, you can click into it and you can edit it, resave it, or whatever you want, and that's absolutely fine. If you don't want to change or save what you just added, just press the cancel button and it takes you back. Probably stay clear of your delete buttons for now, okay? The main reason why we've asked you, or what I've suggested, that people keep things as Word documents as well, is just in case you accidentally delete something, that you've got a backup, and that Word document is what you're working with. And again, please use your OneDrive storage or any cloud storage you have for those documents. I think most years I've had someone who's either laptop hard drives broken, their USB sticks where they've held everything has failed, and they've lost a lot of documents. So again, this is another good point about keeping everything on this platform, because everything is saved, it's all backed up, and you don't need to worry. So that's how you'd add, again, space there for CPD2, space there for CPD3, so you can fill those boxes as needed. So if we go down the list, again, there's space for you to put in your reflections on learning. You'll do exactly the same. Obviously, I've labelled these as is required. So for instance, you'd put your icebreaker, IPE, reflection on learning. I don't need the workbooks, okay? So again, you might think that you need to upload the workbook. You can. So if you scan them in and you wanted to attach them as a attachment, you can, so they're all in one place, but don't feel you have to do that. We might explore that throughout the next couple of years in terms of extra bits you want to put in there, but as a minimum, it's just the actual document you're writing that I need. Reflection on learning for part 2, you've got your monographs. So we went through the monograph template, exactly the same. You copy and paste that whole table and you just paste it into there and you'll see it appear as a document. And that's pretty much how you upload all your documents in here, which hopefully should be fairly straightforward. There are a few other bits that I can show you, so let me just cancel that. If you come across to the top here, you'll see a settings tab. Click settings. This is where you can rename your portfolio. You could add a description. Again, I'm not suggesting you do, but you can if you really wanted to. So if you wanted to write an opening statement about this is my portfolio that has followed me through the first 3 years of my course, you could write a little statement if you really wanted to, but I'm not expecting that. So if you want to change your titles, stick it in there. So as I said before, this is very much your building sort of frame. This isn't what the final portfolio looks like. Basically, it takes all this information and it converts it into something that looks much nicer. Now you can preview this at any point by going to the tab Preview and Customize. So if I click that now, this will be a preview of what your final portfolio would look like. Now obviously I haven't inserted any documents in here, but what you would do is, so I did put something in CPD Part 1. If I click on CPD Part 1, you can see there is all the documentation. Again, just be careful of the spacing, so make sure you put spaces in just so it spaces out quite nicely. but you can click through your portfolio and you'll be able to read all the different sections. Obviously there's nothing in here at the moment, but you would be able to click through and read those different sections. Just to say that if you've got an attachment, and again I'll show you on my example a little bit later what happens there, it will show as a hyperlink at the bottom that you can click on. Something that's quite nice is you can customize the style. Now, I suggest that most people stick as layout 1. If you want to have a look at the other layouts, you can. Layout 2 just switches the side of your title pages. Layout 3 does the same, puts us in a box pretty much. Layout 4, which is quite nice as well, but a little bit more confusing to navigate. Basically, it puts all of them at the top. So I'm going to go back to layout number 1. I suggest that most people stick with layout 1 unless you have a particular reason why you want to go to a different layout. One thing that I'm happy for you to change is your default colors. So you have all different default colors, so you can go for a steel, sort of the grayed out version. So this is how you'll view your portfolio, so it gives it a background and color codes all the text. You can do it individually in the installments as well, but let's go for an RST kind of, actually that's not so bad. You can color this however you want. So please personalize it to whatever you think looks nicest for you. Change your favorite color, favorite design, whatever you want. But it's quite nice if I see some different plays with that. Again, it will color code sort of the key text, but not the main document text. Okay, so you can do that on your own if you wanted to, but generally I'd say just leave that as sort of black and white. If you save it, it will save that the color and the layout in future, and that's how your final portfolio will look. So I know we've only put the one CPD in here, but obviously you'd have a list of all your CPDs in there. So it's actually really quite quick to navigate. And again, as long as you've filled in all the boxes, you'll end up with quite a significant document there. So save if you wanted to save it. If you don't want to save it, you can just press cancel. It takes you back to the start point. You can add comments, I think. I've not actually tried the comments section before. But you can add a comment to a particular point. Again, I haven't played around with the comment section before, but again, that's probably more useful for me if you let me see your portfolio that I could put comments to, like the good sections, and probably when it comes to marking, that'll be quite handy for me. If you want to get out of this view, just click close, and it will close that window and take you back to your screen building section. So once you've finished, once you're happy that you've added at that stage whatever you wanted to add, just click your done editing. Now I think, now don't quote me on this, I think as long as you've saved when you've added your document, so say I wanted to add a fluconazole monograph, if my computer's going to let me, which it's not at the moment. Let me just go back to our CPD point. Okay. So again, if you were in here, as long as you click the save button, that will save that document. Okay. The done editing is kind of an extra safety measure, but I would generally exit through the done editing rather than just closing your window at the top. Once you've clicked done editing, it will take you back out to your main page, and in this main page you'll see it populated with that portfolio. So you can see the one that I've just completed now is this one here actually, not all the rest. So Sambi portfolio, and from there you can re-access it at any point. So if you wanted to re-access it, so let me just go all the way back out, you just go to your name, portfolios, and then it will bring up this page again and you can re-access it. Now if you want to edit that portfolio again, click the edit button and it takes you back into that screen builder mode. Super straightforward. So again, once you've added one, you've come out and you can come back another day and you want to add a new document, go in via that edit. If you just want to see what it looks like, so again, you might have built a few and you're not quite sure which is which, you can just view it and that will show you your saved version. So again, if we go to CPD part 1, there's something there. Again, you can close it. And finally, there is a More tab. There's nothing really here that you need to use at the moment. If I do, I'll direct you to that separately. There is a share command here, so in case I wanted to have a look at them at some point, you can actually share me the screenshot of it with me to have a look at. But again, I think that'll be very much on a one-to-one basis. We'll worry about using that. The only useful thing here, not the only useful thing, but the main useful thing you'll have here is your download button. So if I click download now, you can then click to download your portfolio, and that is giving you your PDF version. So let me double click on my file. Now this is a zipped folder, and if you haven't dealt with zip folders before, you do have to extract them. So I think if I go to that and extract all, actually I'm not even sure I need to do that. Let's just see if it will let me view it. But basically that's where all of your documents are now stored in that PDF. Again, if you click on that, if you go on contents, it breaks down all the different sections. So you could actually view the sections individually. Comments, there are no comments at the moment, so again, you don't need to have a look there. And then this index, fingers crossed it will work. Okay, the file's not found. When you extract them, it will let you view. Don't worry about the download at this point. We'll do all that at a later date. I can just show you quickly. So again, if you do want to have a look at it, the only different thing that you have to do is you have to extract all, extract it, and then it will be here. So this is your extracted version that it can actually access that HTML. Okay, and this is yours forever. So you'll be able to access that wherever you are for the rest of, as long as you want to have access to it, which may be a very short time, it may be a very long time. So again, don't worry too much about that download point at the moment. That becomes important a little bit later on. Now, when you actually submit this in the third year as your kind of final assessment, you can actually submit portfolios to Blackboard. So that submission point will be set up, and you'll just need to pick on your relevant portfolio. Just to show you one that I've sort of built a little bit, just to show you what they look like. So should I go into edit mode or view mode? Let's go into edit mode first. So this is one I was playing around with a little bit. So you can see here I've actually inserted the cover sheet. Again, we'll worry about cover sheets in part 3, but you'd insert your cover sheet, certificates. So if you gain any certificates, you can insert them as pictures, you can insert them as attachments, or whatever you want. Obviously, if you've got a hard copy of a certificate, you can take a picture of it on your phone, you can scan it in, all those sorts of things. So any kind of media we can get into this portfolio. I think I just put on all the templates pretty much into these documents, so you can see that's kind of how it would look as you're building it. Probably a nicer way to view it is in the kind of final view. So if I click on my one and just go on to view, I think I went with a nice purple option. This is what your final portfolio would look like. So you'd be able to scroll through all your documents. Obviously they'll be completed rather than blank, hopefully. But you can see this is what your needs analysis will all look like. And you've got things like your CPDs can be put in here. You've got reflections on learning, which I've not put any. Did I put a monograph in? Let me just have a look. Yep. So your monograph will be in there. And again, I've copied in a cetirizine one that we want. So that's pretty much how you use it. Again, some of the text sometimes becomes larger, but you can delete bits that you don't want to use. So you can play around with it a little bit. I think one last bit that I did want to show, I can't remember where I put it, possibly in CPD 1, is what the attachments look like, which I bet I won't be able to find one now. Let me just see if I hid it in any of the other, possibly not. I don't think I put it in careers management. Oops. So anyway, I did one where I put an attachment in. Oh, there it is. So this is what an attachment looks like. So if I had just clicked on, rather than copy and pasting the box in, I just wanted to add it as attachment, which I showed you. Well, I'll show you again in a minute how to do that. You'll then have access to click on that attachment and it opens the template. So any attachments that you put in there will only show up as an attachment here, but you can click on it to view it. Just to say, if I didn't make it clear how you do the attachments bit, let me go into, I'll edit that new one. Let's go to CPDs again. Let's go to FC, hope I've got a blank one. So if I clicked into, say I wanted to add 2, if you want to add an attachment, you click on that paperclip and you can insert your file there. So you browse your computer, find your file, and that's all that's there. And again, you'd save it once it's in there. You'll just see it as a little hyperlink here, but obviously when you go into that final view, you can view the document properly. And that's pretty much it. Done editing. Once you're in this view, you can just shut it down from the top, or you can just click on Blackboard and it takes you all the way back out. So hopefully that's been useful. Remember, there are the user guides on all the templates as well that the TEL team have done. Again, this is the first time we've done it. So again, a little bit of exploration from the users who are doing it. Let me know if things work well. Let me know if things don't work so well. And we can obviously manipulate things as it goes. Hopefully that's been useful for you today. Again, don't feel you have to start building them this minute. There is time to build in those portfolios. Really the key point is to start getting those documents completed so they're available and ready to go into that e-portfolio, because we can spend some time probably next year doing it. If you've got a spare couple of days and you want to have a play around with it, go ahead, start inserting your documents and see what you can do with it. Stylize it to however you want it to look, and hopefully we'll come out with some really nice end products. So that's it for this session. Again, if you have specific questions about building e-portfolio, please contact me. Again, if there are particular problems, I can also get the TEL team involved and they can help with specific queries. Again, if your laptops are struggling or your computers are struggling with running it, we can have a look at how we can optimize those sorts of points. But hopefully you've seen that it's actually fairly straightforward when you know where to click. So that's actually it for all my pad portfolios for part 1. I hope you have enjoyed the series. Again, if you have any feedback on them, please let me know as well. I'm always welcome to sort of see how you found these sorts of videos. And then if you have specific questions throughout the summer, if you end up working on a few bits, let me know, I can help you along. And then hopefully we'll pick up portfolio in September with your part 2 requirements, where again we have plenty of sessions in part 2 to sort of reintroduce the portfolio and have a look at what's required of you in part 2. So that is it, everyone. That brings us to the end of my sort of portfolio video series. I hope you've enjoyed them. I actually quite enjoy making them, so it's not too much of a hardship for me. So hopefully they've been useful to you, I suppose, is the important point here. Again, I don't expect you to view all of them, because actually if you watch all of them back to back, you'll probably be sick to death of looking at my face. But again, please use the ones that are useful to you so you can develop those portfolio skills. And it might be that you want to revisit these, not right now, but in future when you start to maybe build your portfolio a little bit later on. If there are any specific things or specific feedback you have on the videos, on the portfolio, on the e-learning platform tool that we've implemented, please let me know. I'm the primary sort of contact for all portfolio business, but obviously sometimes your tutors feedback things as well, so please do talk to them if there are things that you want to have checked or things that we want clarified. Use the Padlets that are available as well, so we can view that for questions that you might have, and then that's kind of a bit of a wrap up for the portfolio. Again, I hope they've been useful, giving you a bit of a grounding if you're not quite sure what's going on. I know it's difficult and we'd like to be able to do this face to face because it makes life a little bit easier, but hopefully you appreciate that these videos should hopefully fill in some of those gaps for you over the summer where, again, you might find you have a bit of time to catch up on portfolio work that wasn't able to do throughout the rest of the term. My kind of key point is try to get everything done from part 1 before we go into part 2, because again, time becomes slightly tighter and tighter. So get this year done and dusted, get it all nicely out of the way. If you don't upload them into the final e-port, don't worry at this stage, we can do that, because that actually doesn't take that long. But just getting those documents written is the really key point at this stage. Again, I'm contactable throughout the summer, so please email me if you have particular queries. Obviously, I'm allowed a holiday at some point, though I might not be able to leave the house. So I might not reply straight away, but again, I'll get replies back to you as soon as I see them. So all the best for the rest of the summer, and hopefully we'll see you again next term when we start coming around to sort of October time, when we'll have some more portfolio sessions and actually see me loads in part 2. So I'll be a face that you'll see plenty of. So best of luck over the summer, and I will see you all soon.